Hello and welcome to the final episode for Wixoss Diva Live episode 12. I'm Callan.
And I'm Honey Panda Bunny. So overall, for this being the final episode, I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a really good episode for me, and it did resolve a lot of the issues that I had, and yet it still leaves an open door along the way, which was really nice. I enjoyed multiple parts of the episode, and it all came together and really felt like a good final episode. It did make up for a lot of loss in the past couple of episodes, so it's really nice to have this big ending here.
So I'm in full agreement. My greatest fear was that coming into this episode, the stuff that they'd quickly established in the previous episode, I felt would either lead to a rushed conclusion or it would end on a cliffhanger and then we potentially get a season 2. But as a final episode, I actually thought they did a surprisingly decent job at concluding the story. They were able to wrap up all of the major story beats, I thought, and if the series does end here, we don't get a season 2, I would say that that's completely fine. We have a complete story here, and I actually do really like that even though we do have a complete story, there are some teasers for potential ideas if we do get a hypothetical season 2 down the line. It's nothing that would leave you unsatisfied though, so really good job on finding that right balance. So we finally learn that Mika P, her plan was to weed out weak divas from the battles. She believes that you can only improve by battling strong opponents, and that the Take a Chance Diva competition that she had come up with was used to discourage those who weren't serious about Diva battles. In a way, she's like a darkened, hardened mirror of Excel and Ray, who both take this stance, but she takes it to the furthest extreme.
Yeah, I was going to say that within the series we've seen this kind of theme of this isn't a game kind of mentality. We've got to see it through more healthier characters, you could say. Or you could see the slow incline into how Mika P is. So we see the very beginning with Ray, how this kind of mindset can go. And then maybe a little bit more intense with Excel with how she reacts. And then final stage of being Mika P. And those support groups that they have around them being the ones that are the ones to help them out of those kind of situations.
Yeah, I do like this overall theme for the series and that it comes full force in this final episode. My only slight issue is that I really wish we had got to see a little bit more of Mika P's mindset, because in this episode she's not so much a character as more of an obstacle for our protagonists to overcome, and I would really have loved to see that progression of in Eternal Girl and then how she got to this mindset. So this last episode ends up being a battle of ideology between Mika P and then Aziella, who is now confirmed to be the card shop owner. And she represents No Limit side where you just need two friends to be able to play. But that doesn't mean that just because you're playing for fun, doesn't mean that you can also take it seriously.
Yeah, it's a really good, interesting theme here, and you really do see the teams that they kind of grow up really reflect their ideologies, with obviously No Limit really reflecting that, oh, let's be friends, let's fight together, and it doesn't matter whether we win or lose, whether we fight together wholeheartedly, that's what matters. And then on the opposite side we have obviously Deus Ex Machina, which is they fight to win very full force, very full forced, earnestly, and that's not a bad thing either. They're both very good, but they can both coexist in the same place, which I think is something that both sides need to come together and kind of understand.
Yeah, I would say apart from the bit where Excel obviously did the beatdown, Deus Ex Machina are not really portrayed as like villainously. They're not demonized for their choices, which I think is actually really mature of the series not to take a strong stance either way. And we do see that No Limit have obviously they've regained their confidence. They really want that battle and they're upset that they obviously won't get that rematch. And we see that they do want this battle and they managed to rope in all the other teams to be able to help them challenge Deus Ex Machina. And it's actually a really nice scene where we see them hacking into Wixoss Land, everyone offering them the support to promote the challenge. It's really funny. We also get to see a little bit more of Wixoss Land as well. We see that Drone's trying to stop them. I would have liked this being in the series more, but it is nice that we get it here as well.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. Also, one of them, it actually made me laugh. There's a vegan store in Wixoss, and it was like the oddest thing I'd ever seen. I was like, but it's all technology. But yeah, that was like a really funny one that I saw, and it was really nice being able to see it. And my favourite scene being Harana kind of walking through, kind of flicking her hands about, and little like kind of like messages popping up on the screens as she does it. It's really cute.
Yeah, I like the idea that it's sort of them battling the system in a way. I think that's always a cool underdog story where it's them trying to rise up. We see that with this pressure, this is kind of cornering Mika P, as if she turns down this challenge, it will really affect her and Deus Ex Machina's image, that they're turning down this challenge from a C team that they had already beaten. So it's a cliche, but I do really love the scene where all the other teams give them cards to put in their deck. The idea that it's a little piece of each of them to help them on the battlefield, while they also support them from the stands as well. And we also see that the card shop owner, Azella, she also gives Harana her own signature Eternal Girl card, and in a way it's that master passing down to the apprentice.
Yeah, it's a theme that's been throughout, of everyone relying on everyone else, and it not just being that one sole team's effort, it being a group effort altogether. And it was something that I really liked to see here. We got to see all those bonds kind of come together right at the end of the series, and it was something that was needed and something that was really nice to be able to take in. And it felt like every interaction that we've had with other teams and with the card shop owner have so much more impact when you go back looking back on it.
It's that cheesy power of friendship that I know it's like really cheesy, but I still really like the idea of it. I think it's always cool with everyone like, here, use a bit of my power to help win. Also, as well as with Harana and the card shop owner, they mimic, if you've ever seen like Little Witch Academia, the relationship between Akko and Ursula from that series, the idea of teacher who's someone that they've always looked up to, but they don't know that the person they're interacting with is the person. So we finally get it, No Limit versus Deus Ex Machina round 2, or technically round 11 if we count all those additional battles. My one criticism of this battle is I do feel that Excel becomes a bit of a blank slate, in that in these last 2 episodes, she's just become the rival for Harana to beat. We don't unfortunately see much of her mindset, what she was feeling really in those last 2 episodes. So that would be my only slight criticism of this episode.
My criticism overall for it would be, I just want more Deus Ex Machina. We barely know anything about the other 2 members. It'd have been really nice to be able to see a lot more from them, as well as being able to see a bit more of Excel's personality. Because it feels like that episode where she gets introduced, she's really fun-loving, really like chill and calm, and then now we're not seeing any of those traits. It's just, oh, I fight to win, and that's it.
It's the problem with having such a large group of cast. I think it's the same with Card Jockey, where I really like MC Lion, but then the other 2 are just kind of in the background. While I think Diagram and Universe's Beginning, I think their casts are generally, like, they all get a little bit each, but some of the teams, it's more like focus on the solo, the main member of the group. So I actually really, really like this battle, because as 2 newbies, we don't really get the mechanics, but something I really liked was just the way that they were able to structure the battle, was that you really got to get the feel that No Limit had obtained this strength over the course of this series. It's like they're effortlessly incorporating these new cards into their strategies. They also seem a lot more decisive in their calls, and we see that they're countering Deus Ex Machina's strategies and their tactics to their surprise, and it feels like they generally have leveled up a lot for this final battle.
It also feels like they're actually relying on one another now, because when it was the original battle, it felt very much like Harana was just going forward and doing her plan, but this one actually feels like they all sat down, they made a plan together and really went in and were relying on one another and said, if you need help, I'm here. And it came throughout the battle, which is something that I loved, and it was a great thing to show.
Yeah, they seem very in sync in this battle, which I actually really appreciate. And we also see that Mika P and Azalea are both watching from the stands as well, and we also see that when Harana plays the card that she was given her, we see that Mika P concludes that Azella had trained them, but she says that no, it was just she'd given them the card box, and she also reveals that she's the one that gave them their outfits, which is something that I admit I didn't question in the first episode, but I suppose it's nice to see how that actually happened. And she also says she just gave them a little bit of luck as well. As I said, that Excel comes off a little bit of a blank slate. We do get conclusion to her character arc, even if it did feel a little bit rushed, is that she starts feeling during this battle with Harana that feeling that she'd lost. She is generally enjoying this battle. I would have preferred if this had reached a more organic conclusion. I do think this is the resolution that she was looking for. So Excel uses an unblockable attack, which is their peace ability, but Akino's favourite card manages to save them, which is again a nice callback to that earlier episode. I actually would have liked if there was some way in the battle Rei had also stepped up. That would have been really nice as well, but there is that scene where Rei does counter an attack as well, so she does get her own moment as well. And we see that the crowd is going absolutely wild for No Limit. They are really firmly on their side, and they are really rooting for the underdog.
It's a really good scene. It really made you feel hype, and it still had you on that edge of, oh my gosh, are they going to win, are they going to lose? Because it has already been shown that just because you use your peace attack doesn't necessarily mean that's it, you're done. We've seen it before where if you have enough Enna and other stuff, you can still continue fighting. So it all the way in the back of my mind I was still going, oh, they might not win though, they might not win. Like,
Yeah, I think that the crowd hasn't been best utilised in the series, but in this moment they actually did a really good job. They really added to this match, I thought, which is something they haven't really done in previous battles. So we see that Hirana is able to manifest the masterpiece, which isn't really explained in this episode, but it does seem to be a higher form of the piece abilities that they used earlier. And this is also something at the start of the episode. Mika P was looking for something. She was hoping Deus Ex Machina would be able to reach it, and it seems to be this masterpiece. And we get the one final clash where they have their big magical girl attack, and it fades to white, and unfortunately we don't see the conclusion, but we do cut to the epilogue. In the end, we did find out that No Limit lost, but it was very, very close, and we see that Hirana is incredibly frustrated. But I actually really like that this isn't in disappointment, she's not upset, this is like a competitive, just a little bit more and we would have won.
Yeah, it's really nice to see that coming back from those previous episodes as well, and I think it really does help that because obviously XL didn't go a little bit crazy this time. But something that also helps is I feel like they all earnestly put their efforts in this fight, whereas the one that when they previously fought Deus Ex Machina, not that I don't think they fought earnestly, but I thought they didn't fight as one. It felt like 3 people on the stage, but whereas this time it felt like they were all one person working in tandem.
Even though they lost, they felt like a Class A team in this battle. And I think it was really inspired by the series. I mean, this is our protagonists. The finale, they should be the ones that get the big win. But not only do they lose, they actually come away with more from the loss in a way. Something I actually really like is you see that No Limit also won in terms of selector support. They had the fans on their side more than Deus Ex Machina. And we also see that they're now the talk of Wixoss land as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how this is going to work. And I mean, something that I thought is with how much interest there was and how close the battle was, I thought maybe their rank would have popped up to a higher rank, but we don't really see anything of that. So I'd be really interested to see if they ever did have a season 2, if they would go to and explore B ranks and A ranks battles and see that kind of change there.
So we also see as well that Eternal Girl have all gathered, including the 3rd member, who mostly serves as the commentator. A potential show match between them and Deus Ex Machina would be really cool, I think. And we also see that Mika P is still in doubt over No Limit's abilities. The masterpiece would choose them. So she's still, at the end of this episode, not fully sold on them. So there is room down the line for a potential follow-up on this storyline. As well, at the very end, we see them all, once you reach the top, what is it that you want to do afterwards? And we see that for Hirana, she wants to battle Eternal Girl, which is again, that could potentially happen in season 2. There's a lot of like potential rematches and matches that they are setting up if there is a season 2. And we also see that Akino, she wants to open up her own card shop, which makes sense because she's
a helper at the actual card shop.
And she's the deck builder as well. She's the one that comes up with the strategies. And we see that Rei had been looking for something, but then she feels that by the end of this series, she's obtained it, which seems to be friends. So I went into this series with a very low expectation, if you've seen my previous video. I didn't really like what I saw in the previews, and I wasn't really impressed with the staff that they were using. But having seen the series, I would say that it has surpassed my very low opinion, but not much more than that. I came away really liking the characters, even the ones that I was sure that I would definitely not like. I came away really appreciating them, and there's actually some really nice character work going on here. There are some really decent episodes that are peppered here and there, but unfortunately a lot of their momentum quickly gets squandered by the next episode. But there was some parts of this series that I did really enjoy, so I will treasure them.
I really enjoyed the series, but like you said, there's a lot of ups and downs with this series, and it comes down to if you really love the card game and you know a lot about the card game, you will probably really, really enjoy this series, because apparently it goes more into the card side of fighting. Whereas if you have no clue, you'll enjoy it, but you probably won't be able to keep up with the matches as much, which is a huge part of these episodes, obviously. And overall, some things felt really rushed. I really do enjoy it. I can't see myself going back and rewatching it though, but watching it through the first time, I did thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah, overall, I was happy with the time I put in, which is the best you can say for a series. And for a series that I didn't think had no potential going in, I was surprised that it actually did have some potential, even if that wasn't fully capitalised on.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see if anything else comes out of this, because I would like to see a little bit more of Eternal Girl, because who doesn't? And I also would like to see what this masterpiece is and what it really does and what is the significance of having this masterpiece.
Yeah, that's the strength of this final episode, is that it concluded the story, but there is paths that they could potentially go down. So thank you very much for listening for us these past 12 weeks. I'm Callan.
I'm Honey Panda Bunny.
Until next time.
Bye bye.